Hello everyone, Julia Sheehan here, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator from Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. Today I'd like to do just a nice easy little card using this beautiful stamp set, God's Peace, and I'm using this verse from the Bible here. And I wanted this to stay fairly simple because I think the beauty of this is in the verse as well. So I decided to use this set of DSP, Feels Like Frost. And when I originally bought this DSP, I actually wanted it for this side. I loved all the Christmassy white and silver. I thought it was beautiful. And the other side had all these beautiful scenes and snow and all sorts of things on it. But I just really didn't know how I was going to use it. So I forced myself to sit down and try. And actually, I really enjoyed it, and I came up with some cards like this. I didn't want to cover the paper necessarily because it was so pretty, so I put the verse over it and then just put a few little embellishments on it using the only current snowflake I have at the moment, which is from Seasonal Layers, and so I used that one there. But I have some others on order, they just haven't arrived yet. So you could mix it up and use whatever sort of snowflakes that you have. And there are some beautiful ones that are coming, but I just didn't have them. And then I've also used this stamp set here, Nature's Beauty, and I'll show you what I've done with that. So I've done this card, exactly the same as the other one, but popped the deer on the front. And this one here where I put the fox on the front. And the animals work well on these if there's a bit of depth of field here, I think, because they sort of stand at front. The size then turns out to be not bad. But I don't necessarily think they sit on the close-up ones so well. But, I mean, that's entirely your opinion. You might be able to find something that you've got that you could sit there that would look right. Even a small bird, I think, would look okay there. But putting a larger animal, I just wasn't sure whether it was right or not. Now, you might say to yourself, well, that's pretty simple. But so what I did to do with it, because so often when you cut into those 6x6 DSP, you always have that bit down the side that's always left over. And as you can see, I've already cut this one ready to do today. And this is the bit down the side. There's a little bit off the bottom that comes off. But there's that strip down the side. And it just seems such a nothing bit. You know, like what do I do with it? Yes, you can open up your card when you put your paper in and just sit it in there on there. And that would be fine. So I thought, what else can I do? So what I've done is I've made a bookmark out of it that goes with each of the cards. And then I've put the deer on this one. I didn't think that one needed anything, or this one, but you could possibly pop a little snowflake on there if you wanted to, or another little animal, just depending on what you feel like doing. But I sort of think that using that DSP up, you also end up making a nice little gift to pop inside your card when you give it away. And I've made it the size so it doesn't hang out either end, and that will be a nice little surprise inside for anyone who receives your card. So that's all I'm doing today, is just putting this one together, and it's nice and simple. So I've just got my base, which is Knight of Navy, and that is 5 7/8 by 8 1/4. Then I've got my silver foil, which I always tend to back up a lot of Christmas cards with, some sort of foil, but it's on there. And as I always do, I cut the, I'll just tilt it so it doesn't shine on the screen. I always cut the center out just because it's so good to be able to use that center. And this is the third largest rectangle, and out of the rectangle die set. And I then use this piece here, which is nicely, you know, it's got the beautiful edging on it and everything, and I'll use that in another card. Because this is covered, I just can't see the point in wasting that, so I always pull that out. Now that's entirely up to you. You don't have to do it. And you might say, oh, but what if the card sinks into it? It doesn't. All of these have been done that way, and you can't see any edging. But if you're worried about it, what I've done, to just give an example today, is I've glued a piece of white cardstock on the back just to make it a little bit more solid, because DSP is thinner than the cardstock. So if that troubles you, just put a bit of white cardstock on the back of it. You could use thick or thin, it doesn't really matter, but that's all you need to do to put there. Okay, and then I cut that ready, and I cut, this is 2 inches by 5 7/8, and then this one is 1 7/8 by 5 6/8. Yeah, so that's where I'm going to do my bookmark. So I've got all of that, and then what I've done is I've used the Stamparatus to stamp the sentiment onto this card, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over it in clear embossing powder, so that it's already set. I've already put it on there, and I've done the others with it this way as well. So I'll just do this to the card, the embossing buddy to start with. Then I'm just going to put my magnets on here, and I'm using Night of Navy ink on this one. So I'm just going to ink up my stamp. And pop that on there and press it down. Okay, and there it is on there. Now I'm just going to grab a wet one and wipe that stamp off, because then I'm going to use my VersaMark ink on it. So just get that off there. I generally dab this. I think if you run wet ones across, I'm trying to put my arm in the ink too. If you run them across the surface, sometimes there's little fibres in the wet ones that can catch on your stamp, and so you don't want them sort of trailing, especially if you're going to use a dark colour next or anything like that. So just be aware that sometimes those little fibres can come off. They're very good for cleaning up the stamp, but yeah, just be careful of that. I'll just close this one up and get my VersaMark. And we'll go straight over the top of that again. I have to check that my equipment's plugged in. I have to do this quite a bit because my VersaMark ink is very low. I've used it quite a lot lately, so I want to make sure that I get it over everything. I'll have to re-ink it. I've just been so busy I put it off. Okay, so then I'm just going to go back over the top of that and give that a good press down as well. There we are. It should do the trick. And then I'll pop that off there and get some scrap paper from somewhere. Just a second, there we are. That'll do. A bit of scrap, any scrap will do. And then pop this on here. This is just my clear embossing powder. Pop that over there. Yes, that's all stuck to it fairly well. Good. So, pop this one back in here. And I'll get my heat tool and I'll just heat that one up. Yes, it's on. Sorry about the noise. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. It just makes a difference to the print, and it makes it nice and shiny. So you might be able to see that changing. I just like the shine that it gives it. And I think it makes the writing stand out just that little bit more. I'm just going to put a little bit of heat underneath to sort of straighten that cardstock out again. That DSP that I've got on the cardstock. There we go. And I hope you can see the shine that gets there. So that looks quite nice. Okay, so now it's just a matter of construction, and then we'll do the bookmark. So just get my card. I always have to double check myself on my cards because I did do one that way around one day, which was really silly and such a waste. So I always make sure I've got it round the right way. Okay, so then all we're going to do is add our silver foil cardstock. There we go. And pop that on there. Okay, that's on. And then we're going to put this one over the top. And just try that. If you're worried about your DSP being too thin, just put it on a nice piece of plain white cardstock. I'm one of those people that always does that little bit extra just in case, so don't be afraid to do that. Just a little bit too much glue there. Now remember, this one's actually small, twice as small as the one above it, because I wanted to showcase the silver. So in those measurements, when I gave you, the silver foil was 5 6/8 of an inch by 4 inches. Normal progression would be 5 5/8 by 3 7/8, but this one isn't. This one is 5 1/2 by 3 3/4, just so that my silver edging is wider. And I just wanted the silver to stand out because of the snowflakes I was going to put on it. And so I'm just going to put a couple of snowflakes on there anyway. And I'll show you what I mean about the animals. Now, it's purely my opinion. So I like the distance to do with these. When I tried to put this little bunny on here, I don't know, it just didn't seem right. I mean, you can decide. You might like it on there. I just wasn't sure. Sorry, I've got a very sore finger. I jammed it in a drawer. So yeah, just personal opinion is all. So I'm going to put the snowflakes on, and they just need just a bit of Tombow on the back. Doesn't need a lot, they'll sit on there quite nicely. And then just pop it on where you'd like it. So I'll do one there. Now, you might notice I've got just a tiny little bit of glue out over the edge there. Now, don't do anything to it till it's dry. Some people have a rubber that they can actually get, like it's a special rubber that they have. I've seen people with them. But I have found one of these plastic type regular pencil rubbers works just as effectively. So, yeah, if you ever have any, don't start rubbing it or anything till it's dry, and then you can do that and it will come off. Okay, next snowflake. I generally put 3 on because 3 sits better than, just looks better than 2. You should always have odd numbers when you do things. They say that with decorating too, like if you're decorating bathrooms or rooms or anything and you can put candles or whatever, never put even numbers, always put odd. So it must be more visually appealing to the eye. So, and I'm going to put the third one on just to keep up that idea. I guess it's the same with the rhinestones and everything. And then I think I'll put that one down here, down in the corner, just to be a little bit different, because I don't want to put an animal on this one. And that's how simple that card is. And then our little bookmark, I've done exactly the same thing. I have the Stampin'UP set up for that, so that I can do quite a few of them. I do make Christmas cards for my mother. She's too old now and not able to walk to go to the shops anymore to get her Christmas cards. So I usually make her a whole lot of Christmas cards. And I can make her up a whole lot of these for her friends. So, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm just going to use the Knight of Navy on the sentiment. This one is from the same stamp set. I don't know if I showed you the stamp set at the beginning, but it's this God's Peace one, I think I did. And so I'm using that, but this one comes from down the bottom. Love makes all things beautiful. And so that's what I'm putting on all the bookmarks and doing exactly the same thing with it. And then cleaning that off with my wet one. And doing VersaMark ink on that. And okay, so that's just dried off. And shut my ink up, get the VersaMark. Pop that on there. Forgot to do the embossing buddy on that one, so I'll do it now. Okay. Straight over the top again. Let's have a look to see if that's going on okay. I'm not sure, I might put just a little bit more on there just in case. That's the beauty of this Stampin'UP, isn't it? I can do that. There we go. Oh, that looks a bit better. And then I'll just move that out of the way. Paper and clear embossing powder again. Seems a shame to cover up that side, doesn't it? I know I always feel bad covering up any DSP that's got lovely stuff on the other side. It's all nice and shiny. Okay. I better pop this away or I'll move it and think I've put it away and then it'll end up all over the floor. So, there we go. Embossing buddy out of the way. And then we'll glue this down. That. Yeah. What I did do on one of the other ones was I inked the sides, which I could probably still do to this one. I'll show you what I mean. It's just lightly inked around the edges, which I think I could do to this one. Don't know if it's actually necessary. This one had the darker blues in it, so I just sort of thought it went well with it. So I may not worry about it with this one. And then all I'm going to do is to pop it in my tag topper punch. And there it is. And so now you can make a decision. You can either put a couple of snowflakes on it, or you can leave it plain. You could put one of the little rabbits on there if you wanted to, like that. I mean, it could still look quite sweet like that, I think. And you could pop that up on dimensionals. You can do the edges if you want to. And I think nearly everybody knows how to do that, but I'll just very quickly just do the top so that you see what I mean. Just use your little dauber and just a small amount of ink. Don't want too much. That's if you don't want the sort of like the starkness of the edge, and just go around it like that. And so you can do that the whole way around, or you can just leave it like that. I'm inclined with this one to just leave it at the top because I quite like the way that looks. And all I need to do is either put something on there. I suppose for a bookmark you don't really want it on dimensionals, although I don't think, I mean, it'd only be slightly raised. But you could pop that on there. You pop one or two of those on there, or you don't have to have anything on there at all. I think that's entirely up to your own choices of how you want it to look. And then some ribbon through the top. Be very careful that when you do this loop of ribbon, so you've got your ribbon in a loop. Hang on, I'll just grab a bit. I think most people realise this is not a Stampin' Up! Ribbon, but I just don't have any that go with this at the moment. So all I do is I just loop it like that, pop it through, and then when you bring your pieces up, make sure that they stay nice and flat so that they sit nicely. So they come back up the back and through the front, keeping them the same way over, and then just gradually work it over so it sits neatly like that. And I've also found that the easiest way to keep that there and so that the ribbon doesn't pop back on you is to grab a glue dot. Just get a little glue dot. You can just roll it around in your fingers. Then pop it on the end of something. I'm just going to put it on the end of this. And what I do is I just loosen this off a little bit and put it on the back of there. Pull that where you want it and then squash it with your fingers, and that will stay there. It won't come undone anymore. And there you've got it. Okay, and then you can just trim your ends of your ribbon however you want them. And you've got your bookmark. And like I did with these ones I've left plain. So we have that one that matches that one. I might actually put maybe even just one on there just to lighten that one up a little bit. So there's that one. There's this one with the fox on it. This one. Again, this one's just been left plain because it was so pretty. And the one with the deer, where I did put the deer on it. But there it is. Nice, simple, quick, bulk. You could do it in bulk. And you have some lovely Christmas cards. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'd love to have you join us. And thumbs up if you liked it. And share it with anyone that you would like to join you in making cards. If you would like to purchase any of these products, they're all available through my online store, which is listed below. Pop in there and have a browse around, and you might see some really nice things that you love, or you might see different paper that you want to do this with. But yeah, just have a look. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a lovely day for the rest of the day, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.